Hi everybody, hope you're all well. I just thought I'd come on and do a quick video this evening based on the project that I'm working on at the moment. I've recently opened my Etsy shop, finally. I've been working on that, and I'm offering a lot of my existing artwork as prints and printables. Okay, the problem that I have though with some of my work is that it tends to be on different substrates. For instance, I have three particular pieces that would work really well as prints, but at the moment the only form that they're in are they exist as three pyrography pieces onto wood, which kind of makes it really tricky in terms of being able to convert those images into print. There's a few methods that you can do. I could take them down off the wall and take them to a studio and pay to have them professionally photographed. That's one way of doing it. I'm a bit reluctant to do that because obviously the costs involved in doing that would be probably out of my range at the moment, and also, you know, there's the time and the inconvenience of it all. So what I'm hoping to be able to do is to actually just work with what I already have. I use a program called Artrage. It's a digital art program, and I've created lots of artworks on there. Just by using a tablet and a pen, which I'll show you. This is my graphics tablet and my pen, and I basically just, you know, draw as I would normally draw on my graphics tablet, but I'm actually the image appears in the program as I'm working, and it you know, you can kind of mimic pencil or, you know, charcoals, pastels, paint, anything in this program. It's really brilliant, and you know, it's quite vast, and I'm still kind of learning all about it. But it's a really useful program. And I also use Photoshop for colour correcting and, you know, making sure that I save my work in the proper format for print. Okay, so, and I also just have my mobile phone. So what I'm going to attempt to do is just go and take some photos of the works that I need to convert to print on my phone, and then I'm going to bring them onto the computer and work on them to convert them to print. Okay, so bear with me. Okay, so these are the three pieces in question. They're three individual pieces that I have made as pyrography pieces, and then I've hand coloured over them. But where they are, they're situated on the landing in quite a tricky spot, and I don't really want to have to take them down and have to sort of try and get a decent photograph of each of them. So what I need to do is take just a picture here as they are in situ on my wall here, and somehow get them digitized into print form so that I can actually make prints of them. So in a sense, I've got to find a way of redoing them, if you like, without it taking me too much time and effort to do it. Right, so here I am at my computer, and I've just imported in the snapshot, the few snapshots of the 3 pieces that I want to convert to file. I'm just going to start with this one first, of the gorilla, because as you can see, this is just taken on my phone. It's, as you can see, it's not great. The lighting is not too good out there, so it's cut out a lot of the detail. So even if I was to import this into Photoshop and try and sharpen it up and work on it, you know, with using various filters and sharpening tools and everything, I don't think I'd be able to get it to a state or standard that I could make it into a printable file that would be suitable to send to a printer to have printed. So what I've done is as I explained before, I've actually worked on this image now. I brought it into Artrage and I've been able to change it quite a lot. So this is the file that I've worked on. Let me just bring that over, tuck that one behind in a minute. So as you can see, it's quite different. You know, I've been able to work on top of the original picture, and as you can see, I've kind of just sharpened everything up. I've redrawn it in a sense, only it hasn't, you know, this was a pyrography piece using a burning tool onto wood, so it has a very, you know, the mark making has its own sort of distinctive quality to it. So, you know, that's one technique for creating this particular image that's outside on my wall in wood, but this is kind of more smooth. So it's based on this one, but I've just kind of worked over it in Artrage using various pencil tools and blending tools to work on the features of the gorilla, reinstate some of the textures of the fur. I've also reworked the background as well and taken out the wall background behind to make it nice and white. So this is now a printable file, which I've been able to import into Photoshop and to save down as a printable file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to import another one into Artrage, and I'll demonstrate what I do to convert one image to the other to get it ready for print. Okay, so here we are in Artrage, and as I said, what I'm going to do is import another of my animal pictures that I want to convert to be a print file. I think what I'll do is I'll work on the bear next. Okay, I've already gone ahead and taken this into Photoshop to remove the background, just to kind of make life a little bit easier. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to bring up the file, the picture I've just been working on of the gorilla there, and the reason I'm bringing that in is just for colour reference, so I can make sure that, because I want these 3 images to work as a triptych, so I don't want the colours to be too different, so I want to be able to refer back to what I was doing, and be able to pick up the exact colours with the eyedropper tool, you know, so I can get this one to look fairly similar in terms of colour to this one. Okay, so as you can see as well, I've got my tablet in front of me, and my pen. This is what I use. Okay, right, so first things first, I'm just going to create another layer there. I'm going to actually be working on this layer, not the one of the bear, and I just really want to start by just grabbing a bit of colour from this background. I just want to make sure, I'm just going to check against there that it's the same sort of brown, and then I'm going to go over to my pencil tool and I'm going to choose, I think I'm going to do a hard and dark. Let's try that one. And then I'm just going to start working. You can't actually see too much what I'm doing here, so let me just take off that layer. Oh, just a bit tricky. Hopefully you can see here, this is what I'm actually doing. I mean, it's difficult when I'm working on this layer. What I can do, it's a bit tricky. What I can do with this, if I can get it to come back on, is I can knock this back. Let's knock it back to 60% opacity. Okay, and come back, and then I can just about see what I'm doing over the top of this. So all I'm really aiming to do is just kind of rework the drawing. So I'm working on top of what I've already done. So it's my original piece, my pyrography piece, and I'm just kind of, reworking this hair. What I'm going to do is zoom in a little bit, so I'm not sure you can really see that much. Let me take the tone down. Let me work into some of these. See, that's better. I can work into some of these darker areas on top. And what I want to aim to do is get it to a stage where I can merge the two layers together and kind of use some blending tools as well, to unify the textures and the mark making from the original piece with this digital, with the digital one. So there's a bit of work involved, but if you weigh it up against having to take it down off the wall and get it professionally photographed, I'd have to source that person who's got the right equipment, take it there, which in this day and age, with the situation being as it is with COVID, it's not that easy to do that. So the hassle of doing that against the hassle, if you like, of doing this, this just seems like the easier route really for me. And And in some ways is better, because what I end up with is I've got two versions then of the same artwork done by me, rather than just a high resolution photograph of the pyrography, which again might be quite nice, and maybe one time in the future I will be able to do that and get all my wood pieces photographed. But as I've got these tools at my disposal, I thought, well, I might as well just go ahead and use them to the best of my abilities at the moment. I mean, as I say, Artrage is a vast program. It's as is Photoshop. I'm fairly proficient in that, but again, technology moves at such a pace that you always feel like you're behind with it, and there's so much more I need to learn about Photoshop as well as programs like this. I'm the sort of person that I only learn by the doing of something, so I've just basically just feel my way around it, really. I'm not sort of I do watch a few online tutorials, but generally I'm just feeling my way around and looking at the different tools and seeing what works. It's all a little bit trial and error, and so far so good. I've managed to create some fairly nice pieces, really, and what I'm learning as well, from what other artists are saying, that it is a really invaluable tool for finishing paintings, and you can even start work in Artrage, create a big file, get it printed off, and then that forms the basis then of say a painting for you to work on. So there's all sorts of possibilities with it that are really, really good. And I think digital art is sort of coming into its own now. It's a little bit tricky to get it accepted as a bona fide way of working, because I think the general misconception actually a lot of the time is that it's all just done with a few clicks of a button and a few clicks of the mouse, and hey presto, you've got yourself a lovely artwork. And it's not, as I'm hoping that this will demonstrate, it's not like that at all. It's you have to kind of work just as hard, and in some ways it is quite tricky from the point of view that there's a bit of a disconnect. I'm working on a blank black screen here, and I'm looking at a computer screen, so there's a bit of a disconnect between my hand and what's happening on the screen, and also the feel of the surface is different to paper. It's quite slick, so you do have to sort of practice in terms of getting the control of it right, because otherwise you your mark making can just become very wobbly and a bit odd looking. But again, you know, it's just one of those things that you pick up and you learn about, and you learn how to work it into your own practice. I mean, I'm used to kind of getting my hands dirty and creating artwork, you know, with, you know, via traditional painting and drawing, which I absolutely love doing, and I'll never stop doing it like that. But I think just having, you know, other resources like this at my disposal is invaluable, because it means that I can, you know, I can digitize things. I can, you know, I've just got more ways of being able to enhance my image making skills and my drawing skills. And of course with digital work as well, you know, I mean, this particular project I'm working on now doesn't necessarily demonstrate it, but you can actually, you know, emulate actual paint on a surface. You know, it's quite sophisticated that it, you know, you can choose a brush that will, you know, when you lay down the paint in inverted commas, it actually does produce brush marks as it would in, you know, if you were applying wet paint onto a surface, onto a canvas, you know. And you can also, you know, you can kind of make a canvas sort of thing, and, you know, you can have your canvas textures, and so it's very, you know, it's very sophisticated really. So obviously this is going to take me a little while to do. Hopefully you can sort of see what I'm attempting to do here. All I'm really doing is trying to pick up this really rough texture of the fur underneath, and I can remember doing this as the pyrography piece, and I was using a burning tool, so it was you know, I'm kind of physically burning the image into a piece of wood. And, you know, that's got its challenges as well, but it kind of lended itself really well to this really kind of rough texture of the bear fur, which is partly why I chose this image as well. I wanted to do 3 really strong images of, you know, wild animals. So I chose a bear, a gorilla and a lion, the head of a lion as well. So these 3 images, I think they work really well together. So I'm really pleased to be able to do this and to be able to get these into print, because I can remember when I shared my original images of the pyrography, you know, I did have lots of people saying, are these available in print? And they weren't at the time. So it's going to be quite nice to be able to, you know, get these out there in print form. I can't wait to see what they will look like in print form. I'm quite pleased with the gorilla one that I did. But that's the thing about print, you know, all forms of print actually, you know, you never know what it's going to look like until you've actually done it, and it's, you know, you've got the physical print in your hand. So, you know, I can look at something on a screen and it can look, you know, one way, but then you know, the results are can be completely different in terms of print. So we shall have to wait and see, but so far so good. And you know, it's quite therapeutic doing this. I quite enjoy it. So I'm not going to, you know, I'm not attempting to kind of trace lines on top. I'm just really going for the texture and the tones of the fur, because I have got this underneath. I've already done the work, you know, I've already got a large amount of the work already done in the pyrography image, and this is really just a process of amalgamating the two. So you know, it's kind of just utilising the best of both worlds really. So just continue to work on this, and then I will come back when I'm almost done, and I'll show you how I then work with blending the layers together, and then how I get it into Photoshop. Alright, see you soon. So I've got a certain way into this now, working on this texture of the fur. I've still got quite a bit to do. I've got a fair way to go before I'm sort of got, you know, all of it covered, so it's by no means finished, but I just wanted to demonstrate the next kind of part to this, how I'm going to move this on. Okay, so what I'm going to actually do is start to work on the under layer, the one that I've currently, so the original image of the pyrography. I've currently got it knocked back to 60% opacity. So what I'm going to do, just to demonstrate how I'm going to kind of work these two layers together, I'm going to turn off the top layer, and I'm going to bring this original image layer back to 100%. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to my custom brush tool at the bottom here, and I'm going to choose a really useful tool that I've discovered. It's called Soft Scrub Blender, and I'm going to knock that down a little bit. I'm going to knock it down to say a little bit, 15%. And what I want to do, oh, I'm on the wrong layer. Okay, what I want to do is just go in and start to take out, well, not take it out, but just kind of blend together. Because what it's doing is it's picking up all the pixels on this image, and it's allowing me, just by moving the pencil tool on the tablet, to blend them all together. And I'll show you why in a minute. And the reason I'm doing that is because what I don't want is, for when I am working over this, I don't want my new work, all of those textures that I've worked into it, to kind of fight with the ones underneath, you know, with the pyrography ones. So I've got my layer switched back on there. The layer that I have been working on is switched back on, but I'm going to go back to this under layer so I can demonstrate what I mean. So let me get in a little bit further. Let me see. So you can see these lines on the top. They're my drawn lines that I've just worked over to texturize the fur. So can you see what's happening if I just work the tool on the layer underneath? Perhaps do it in this area, it's a little bit easier to see. What it's allowing is me to retain all that colour that I've already got there with the bear's fur, but it's allowing the textures that I've just applied to kind of enhance, and it doesn't fight with what's underneath as much, if that makes sense. So that's kind of what I need to do next when I'm finished applying all the top texture. And then the next stage to this will be to actually amalgamate these two layers and then do the final work, refining the textures and putting in the various finishing touches, around. I'm also going to be working on this background as well to match the background of the gorilla piece there, and I'll need to create a new layer to do that. In fact, let me see if I can just quickly demonstrate that. So I've got my new layer. I'm going to drag my fur layer down. So I'm going to be working on this top layer now. And I'm just going to take the eyedropper tool, the colour sampler tool. I'm just going to pick up that back colour, and then I'm going to find what I was using. I think I had, was it heavy and smooth? It's either dark hard shader or heavy and smooth. Let's do hard shader and bring this up quite a bit. So what I'm doing here is just applying some of that background colour. I want to get a nice kind of dense area of it. Let me up that tool, get it up to 100. Because in truth, actually, that although the picture I took on my phone would suggest otherwise, the background is the background of the actual piece is more in keeping with this colour than it is with the beigey tone that I've got on the computer here. So all I'm doing here is just quickly cross-hatching over and over and over, just to get a nice dense patch of that colour and tone. Because what I can then do is quite nice, actually. And again, I'm only discovering all of these things through just giving it a go and mucking about and making mistakes, really. I've spent literally hours on this thing, going through all the different possibilities, but it's really worth it, because if you can master this, it really does help you as an artist. It does me anyway. I mean, I'm so glad really that I have found this and am able to kind of do it, because I'm finding that it is really helping me. Okay, so as you can see, I've got a patch there of that colour and tone. So I'm going to go back down to my custom brush tool, and I'm going to pick up that blending tool again, the soft scrub blender, and I'm going to come up here and I'm just going to blend all of that together got it at 50%. I might knock it down a little bit. Let's knock it down to 30. Because what I've discovered it does as well is if you can get a decent patch of a colour and start blending with this tool inside it, what it allows you to do is just to kind of extend it and push it as if you were, you know, as if it was a big sort of patch of chalk or something, and you're rubbing it with your finger all the way around. So, and I can just, you know, I can sort of vary the pressure on the tool out to the edge there, so it just gets this really lovely nice effect, almost like chalk pastel it looks like in the background. So that's kind of how I'm going to work that. Because, and the reason I'm making it this colour is I just really don't want it to be too beige really, and this is why I hand coloured the pyrography pieces, because I don't know, I mean I really like the look of pyrography, but I don't really enjoy, you know, everything just being very brown and beige, you know. So I think this kind of very icy blue, very, very pale blue, just works so well with the lovely chocolate browns of the fur of these animals, and just kind of really makes it sing and just works really well. So that's kind of why I've chosen this colour rather than a white as well. I didn't, you know, I could do it just pure white, but I quite like the fact that they're kind of encapsulated in this round shape, and I wanted to retain that in the print, in the printed version. So, you know, it gives the person, whoever, you know, buys one of these, it gives the person the option to, you know, get it framed up in a round frame. You know, they can get it trimmed, you know, or it works quite well with, you know, as a round shape with the white background, and then, you know, you can just put it in a frame from there. So that's kind of why I wanted to kind of retain this round shape. And also, you know, it's almost finished doing the original piece is round, so as a result. So as you can see, I've just from doing that little patch of colour over there, using this scrub tool, I've literally been able to push it. I mean, it doesn't work if I go down here. All it does is it picks up the pixels of this kind of beigey colour from behind and blends them together. But if I take it from here and pull it down, it's just a lovely way of being able to cover quite a big area and still retain that sort of that look and feel of crayon or something. You can sort of see there's a slight kind of texture to it. So I really like it. I think it looks really nice. Well, it certainly looks really, really nice on the screen. So the next stage obviously is to get these printed. So I've just been working on this now for quite a while, a couple of hours. I just kind of go through what I've done here. So as I was saying before, I was working on 3 different layers, all containing different information. Layer 1 was the image itself imported in from my phone, and then I created a layer to work over the image, and then there was a background layer on top of that. Okay, so I'll just kind of talk through what I've done. So let me just switch off that top texture layer. So all I've done here working on this background layer is I've just been over the whole thing with the scrub blending tool, just to kind of knock back all of that kind of real harsh texture that you get from the pyrography tool, and to kind of smooth it all out. I've retained some of it because I do like the effect that you get from the burning tool, in some of these really dense areas. So I've kind of tried to keep, a fair bit of it really. But I wanted, I think he looks a little bit, I've made him look a little bit too fluffy and, like he's spent the afternoon down Tony and Guy or something, bears, they aren't really that cuddly, are they, So let me switch on this top layer. So I hope you can see what I've done there, how that makes a difference. So let me just switch it off again. So that's without and that's with. So if I turn off this bottom layer, you can see that's all the kind of textural work that I've put in, which actually makes for quite an interesting image in its own right. So I am actually going to save a copy of that on my desktop for future reference. That's a JPEG, so I'm going to save that. Okay, so that's all the texture that I've worked on all the way over, just kind of reintroducing that kind of shaggy, rough feel to the coat. So if I put that back on, so at the moment I'm quite pleased with it, but I now need to pull it all together. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to merge down these layers, and the way I'm going to do that is go up to Tools, Layer Options, and then I'm going to come down to merge all layers. You can merge layers down on top of each other, you don't have to do it all at once, but I'm going to merge what I've done all together. So there you go, that's one layer. So from there, that now allows me to work on top of this a little bit more. I want to be able to deal with the edges here of the fur as it meets the background, because at the moment it's looking a little bit disjointed. So I just want to be able to go in. Let me pick up a bit of this colour. I'm going to get my pencil tool, and I just want to go in and refine on top and kind of work on this kind of hair at the edges, so that I can work it over the blue of the background. And kind of make it look kind of unify him with his background. So I'm really just doing what I was doing before, is just going in again, making these repetitive sweeping strokes to describe the hair and the fur. And I'm just going to continue to work on that all over. And this time I'm just working all on the one layer, because I'm working on it now as if, you know, it was just one canvas or one piece of paper, you know. Because this is the beauty of using a program like this. It's great to be able to work on separate layers, because you can create so much more depth to your work that you can achieve anyway with, you know, paper and paint and canvas and brushes and everything. But doing it like this, just having the option to bring it onto the computer, it's the convenience of it really, you know. So just by doing that, I'm just kind of refining some of these details in it now. Just want to be able to work over it. As I say, it's going to take me, well, however long it takes me really. You know, that's the thing about creating artwork. I think if anybody, I mean, you always have an idea of how long things take anyway from experience, but you know, I never like to think too deeply about that, because, you know, you just got to crack on really and get on with it and not worry about how long something's going to take, because, you know, it just takes how long it takes, you know. So that's kind of what I'm going to be doing to refine this outer part. On this part, I also need to work on his kind of face a bit more, on this eye, and also down here on the nose. What I want to try and do is pull in a little bit of this colour from the background and bring it in subtly onto the lighter areas around here and maybe into the eye, just to kind of unify him more with the background, so, you know, he doesn't look like he's just kind of floating in mid-air. You know, he looks like he's part of a scene. So I'll just briefly demonstrate what I mean by that. So I've got my eyedropper tool, my colour sampler. I'm just going to go and pick up some of that colour, go back to my pencil tool, and I'm just going to just shade a little bit in on the nose, a little bit on the side of the nose. And then what I want to do, I might take a little bit down here as well. I will continue to do this, but I'm just demonstrating what I'm intending to do with this. So I'm applying a little bit of that blue colour, and then I just want to take my custom brush tool and get hold of that blender again, knock it down so it's sort of quite small, and then just go in on those areas and blend it. just make it sort of work with the rest of the tones. So, you know, it's just as you would with, you know, if I was sitting there with a box of coloured pencils, you know, I'd layering up on the colours. You know, you just kind of blend them together, and then, you know, if you've got if you're doing pencil work, you tend to have different blending tools in your kind of box of tricks to do exactly what I'm doing here, is just to kind of, you know, blend it all together and, you know, make it look how you want it to. So look, I've completed this piece now, I think. I'll just kind of walk you through what I've done here. Hopefully you can see what I've done. I've unified it all now. I've been over it several times. I've had several passes over, just kind of reworking the hair of this, because I wanted to recreate that real kind of deep shagginess of the coat, you know. So, you know, I wanted a feeling that you could just kind of plunge your hands into this beautiful deep coat, and also give it a feel of, you know, being a little bit kind of, well, certainly not coiffured, or, you know, like a wild bear would be. So I've also brought a little bit of the background into touches on the face, into the eye, on the ears, just to kind of bring it all together. So I've done that to, I think I've kind of been over it, and I've looked at all of the separate areas, and I'm fairly confident that I've kind of completed it all now. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to save. I'm going to export the image file to JPEG. I'm just going to pop it on my desktop, and I'm calling it King to Bear. I'll save that down. Okay, and then what I want to do is open Photoshop. Okay, so I'm going to create a new document. Actually, I've got one here that I did before. So I'm going to create a 12 by 12 inch document, print file at 360 dpi CMYK colour. Let me just retitle that. So I know which one it is, so create that. Okay, and I'm going to open the Artrage file that I just saved. So I called it, it's that one, isn't it? King to Bear. Okay, and I'm just going to copy this into this 12 by 12 inch print document, paste it in. Okay, so it comes in at 2 size actually, which is really nice. You know, I created the Artrage file in this. I've just brought it in here because this is where I can change it into a print ready file, but I tend to like to just play with the levels a little bit, so I'm just going to punch up the levels and the contrast in that, just to pick up all of that lovely richness in the coat there, and, you know, make the darks darker. I might just pull it back from that way as well, because I don't want to lose some of the detail out of the nose. So so I'm quite happy with that. I'm going to do okay. I might just pull the saturation up slightly by about 5, I think, +5. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so now I've got my document, my print document. I'm going to merge those layers together. So I'm going to just close that for now so I don't get confused. So that's my print file. And then I'm going to save this down onto my computer. King to bear. I'm going to say 360 dpi. Okay, and I'm going to put it in my print ready file next to my gorilla picture. So, and I want it to be maximum, the maximum quality, and save it. Okay, so there is my file ready to be listed onto Etsy. Okay, so this is the finished article side by side to next door to the one that I started out with. So as you can see, they're the same image, but they kind of look a little bit different. This one being the original one with the pyrography mark making is quite a bit kind of more rustic looking, and you know, very definitely you know, it's evident that I've used a whole different kind of method to create this image, as opposed to this one, which is a lot kind of smoother and more kind of in keeping with a painting. So I just thought it'd be interesting to show you the both images side by side, and to kind of further illustrate how you go about kind of, you know, reproducing an image for print if you are in the situation similar to me where you've got works of art that perhaps aren't easy to photograph or scan, and if you did have access to Photoshop and Artrage, it just shows you that it is possible. Okay, as I say, thanks for watching. Hope this was useful. Do give us a comment, and please do subscribe, and you know, if you can press on the notification bell as well, so that you know you get updates for when I do post things up. I do try to be fairly regular with it, although it's not always easy, as I'm sure you understand. Okay, well, stay safe and well everybody, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.